Peace and blessings, everyone. How are you on today? I pray all is well wherever you are. I wanted to come on really quickly because there's just something I wanted to share this morning as I was cooking breakfast. And this is not one time that I've thought about this, but I think about this consistently um, regarding our bodies and how God has. Need for us to have, a healthy body. So I wanted to come on and I wanted to share, firstly, putting out a disclaimer. I am no doctor. I am nobody who is a nutritionist or anything like that. I'm just speaking from experience and what really makes sense about in the care of our body, especially as a believer in Christ Jesus. So I wanted to come in excuse me, come on. And I wanted to share, some things that as a believer, a follower of Christ Jesus, how our bodies, we should know that our bodies are three-dimensional. We are body, soul, and spirit, and all three of these need to be upkept, so that we can do firstly the work of God with a body that God has given us to take care of, and so that we can go forth and do those things that He has called us to do. So I just jotted down some things. My daughter is right over here, and I don't want to get distracted because she's watching TV and she's looking at her favorite things on TV. We was out and we did a couple of things. So now I'm just settling down, while I have some time, while I have a few minutes. So, as I said before, our bodies as believers in Christ Jesus, God said in His Word that our temples are the our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit of Him. The temple, our bodies are the temple of God, and He has called us to do things for Him in the earth, and we need to be in our best health, our best. Condition as best as we can. God can use us in any kind of way. If we are able and if we do have the good sense to keep our bodies operating in a way that we can go out and do those things. God said our bodies are the temple of God, and we need to upkeep these bodies. We need to keep our bodies running so that when God has called us to go here and there, it's not about just our physical body, it's about our mind. What are we doing, with our mind, how we are upkeeping our mind, and if our mind is also being upkept, also, there are things that our mind, that our brain actually needs, to keep functioning, to do those things that God has called us to do. So one, there's a purpose for our bodies to be kept well, and that is to do the assignments that God has called us to do, those missions, those things that He has called us to do. If our bodies are not functioning, especially because it was something that we have done, something that we are doing. We have to point the finger back at us, and we have to get on board and do those things that would help us to get into a good, healthy body. So again, as I said this morning, as I was fixing breakfast, a lot of us, again, please just understand that these are just things that I do. And these are things that make sense to me. So if you're, watching your weight, you're trying to do things for your body, these are again, not things that I'm telling anybody to do. But in general, this just seems to make sense. If we have high blood pressure, we're supposed to stay away from a lot of salt. We're supposed to stay away from a lot of stress. We're supposed to stay away from those things that will cause our blood pressures to elevate. But I have noticed, I'm just going to say, as a woman. I'm in that time of my life where I am experiencing hormonal fluctuations, and there are some things that is beyond our. I'm sorry, I have something in my throat. There are some things that are beyond are doing. There are things that we just cannot help that happens to our bodies. And the reason why I mentioned the hormonal fluctuations is because I have found within last year, when I began all of this, going through, menopause, that when I get hot flashes, it elevates my blood pressure. So I spoke to my cardiologist. I spoke to them. I had to get into seeing a cardiologist regarding my heart palpitations and the reason why they were happening. And they were only happening when my heart, when I was having hot flashes, which weren't really bad, but when they would come on, they would elevate my blood pressure for a little while, and my heart would start to palpitate. So this is something that is beyond something we can't help. We have to look into it. We have to see what's going on, and then we just take it from there. But when there are known things like eating too much salt, you just pouring the salt all over your food, and you got blood pressure, you have to stop that. You have to uh, you have to understand that sodium, especially in African American people, are a no-no to some degree. We are supposed to have salt. We are supposed to have minerals in our body, but we are not supposed to have those things that will cause our bodies harm. So the reason why I'm mentioning salt, because this morning when I was fixing food, I watch my sodium. I only have one med that I take for my life, and that is the blood pressure medication, which has been doing well, and I'm hoping to eventually come off, my blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure is not sky high, but if I don't watch it, it could, easily elevate, in what I'm doing. So what I do is I watch my salt. And how I do this, watching my salt, is that I don't add table salt to my food, especially when it has salt. I usually go without added salt to my food. I've been doing that even before I found that I had high blood pressure. Um, we could find a lot of ways uh, to get our salt without adding salt to our food. And this is what I was thinking about this morning and what I was having. So I just want to give just a few pointers, that we really have to be mindful that when we buy our food, we have to look at labels. We have to see how much sodium is in our food. We have to see, um, you know, um, it's not really hard to do. A lot of people don't tend to want to do things like this because they say it's too much time. This is, is, I just will try to eyeball it and try to watch what I'm doing. But sodium is in a lot of things that we eat. It's in just about everything we eat, even in milk and eggs. We have to be mindful when we're like even preparing a sandwich how much sodium is in our bread. You have to go to your label and see what a serving is, what it really means. If we have, I was talking to my brother. I'm going to use my brother as an example. He was eating. Now he had high blood pressure. His high blood pressure was really beyond. It was above mine. And I hadn't spoken to my brother in several years because we just didn't know. It's a long story, but we are reconnected now. We love one another, and he has come back. Into my life about 5 years ago. So when we first reconnected into our lives, he told me that he had blood pressure, and so I asked him right away, "What are you eating?" And he would tell me that because he loves beans, he loved canned beans and soup. And when he told me that he was eating that, I said, "Oh gosh!" I said, "You know what? You really do you know how much sodium is in one serving?" Um, of what you're eating. And he said, I never really paid any attention. He said, I just really just kind of eat the can. It ain't that much in there. And I'm like, well, I want you to go look at your can. And I got the can for him. He thought the whole can was one serving. I said, no, you got to look at the label. What we have to do is look at the labels because a lot of times what we miss, as I was sharing with my brother, is about the serving sizes. Let's use the can of beans for instance. I think the beans was like 720 milligrams per serving. Now the per serving was I think about a cup. somewhere around there, and the can held 2 servings. So when he was eating the whole can, he was getting like 14 milligrams of sodium, which is really a day's worth of salt in 1 can of beans. So when I told him that, and we went down the list, he likes the soups. He eats a lot of soups and stuff. So what he did, he said, I didn't even realize I was doing that. He said, it's not even that much in there. And I said, you're exactly right. It's not that much in there. It's sad. And it's what we really have to do is begin to learn how to make our foods, the foods that we love. If we can do that. If not, we go to the low sodium labels. We go to no sodium, low sodium. And then we just try to make up you know, some things with some other spices. But he did that for a little while, and guess what? His blood pressure came down. His blood pressure came down when I met him. His blood pressure was so high. He liked spicy foods. He loved, Mexican foods and stuff like that. And I said, you got to watch the labels. I'm surprised your doctor didn't even tell you that. Watch your labels. So I'm sharing this because this morning what I had. Now I'm gonna tell you what I had this morning. I had grits and eggs. Um, And what I do is that with grits, how do you eat grits without no salt? You got to have salt with grits. I never thought I would see the day where I would never put no salt on my grits. You know why? Because I make it up in what I'm adding to my food. I had cheese. So what I did was I made my serving, my 1 serving of grits. I had 2 eggs, and most eggs, large eggs, has about 65 milligrams of sodium in eggs. So if you eat two, that is what? 130, let me see, 65, 65, 10, 20. That's about 130 milligrams of sodium. Well, I hope I got my math right. Let me see, 65, 65, 10, 12. Yeah, about 130. Uh, I'm really bad with doing math in my head, but it's about 130. Let's just say about 130. Now, I like American cheese in my grits. All right, so I make cheesy grits. So my grits had 2 eggs. Grits don't have any sodium in them, as far as I believe it. If they do, it's a little teeny bit. So I had the 2 eggs, and then I had the cheese. The slice of cheese, is probably around 70 milligrams. I'm talking about deli cheese, not the packaged cheese, Kraft cheese. I'm talking about the sliced deli cheese. I had 1 slice of that, and I put it in my grits, and I put my eggs in there, and then I had some cheddar cheese that I shredded, from a block of cheese. I also like that in my grits. Now, I say all of this to say, not to tell you what I had, but to tell you that the cheese, the eggs, and the 2 cheeses, it made up for the salt. Oh, and I'm sorry, and the butter. I used salted butter. I used 2 tablespoons of salted butter. That's a lot. That's a lot of butter, but it's good when you have grits. My grits back in the day, it had to be buttery, and it had to be, have that nice amount of salt in it. But the salted butter, the salted cheeses, and the eggs makes up for any other added salt. My breakfast was seasoned really well, and I could taste the salt in my food. I didn't miss the added salt whatsoever because my food was already salted with what I put in there with the cheese and with the butter, and it made up, for everything. So my salt consumption at that time is 90 milligrams of sodium per tablespoon in salted butter. So 90, that's 180. And then I had the sodium, which sorry, the sodium, the what did I say 130 was? Oh, for the eggs. And then I had the cheeses. So it was under like 500 milligrams of sodium. Now, what I try to do for myself is to stay under 1500 100 milligrams of sodium, because I think a regular diet of sodium is I think it's 2,000. I want to say it's 2,000, up to 2,000 milligrams of sodium. I try to stay, since I have blood pressure, high blood pressure, I keep it down to 1,500. That's what they would normally tell you to stay under if you have high blood pressure, to stay under about 15 milligrams of sodium. So if I have 15 milligram, 500 milligrams for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that will have my 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So it's a thing of just working out what you eat throughout the day. You have to look at your labels, your cereal, your milk, everything. Look and see what it has, to avoid um, uh, getting your sodium way up off track, that your blood pressure is starting to elevate, and let alone the stress and all the stuff that comes with your blood pressure too being high. But I'm staying here on the nutrition level, because a lot of times we do not look at labels. We don't look at and see what food is not what it used to be a long time ago. When I was younger, coming up, we didn't have all of this stuff that we have on now. We got the super size. We got the I don't even eat takeout. I don't eat none of that stuff because it is too high in sodium. I make pizza. Oh yes, I make pizza. I make my pizza dough. I know what I'm getting in my food. I make my cakes. I make a lot of stuff. That's why I be in the kitchen all the time. I think I shared that in my last video, because I very, 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 very seldom order out. Even when I have high blood pressure, I didn't order out a lot of food. I just was not a fast food eater. So, but these days we have to watch out fast foods. We have to watch out the super size, the triple size. We got to even with the labels in restaurants, you have to see how much sodium you're getting. I say all of this to say that a healthy you makes us able body to go out, not just with a high blood pressure, or and keeping our high pressure blood pressure um, at bay, but also stress wise, also sleep wise. We have to have enough sleep. We have to have our bodies. We have to make time. We cannot continually, spend all this time. I know we got to work. I know we got to do this. We got to do that. We got to take care of kids. We got to do that. But we got to manage our days. I don't know why my phone keep doing that. My phone is ringing for some reason one time, but I said all of this to say, that we have to take care of our bodies, and the way we do that, I hope and pray that nutritionally, beginning here, is that we begin to put those things inside our body, because God said that our bodies are the temple of the living God. We are, He doesn't dwell in a place that's not taken care of. We do. God, I thank God for His grace and mercy, because we be all over the place. I can speak for myself that we don't really take care of our bodies these days as much as we should. Younger, I remember going out, we were jumping rope, coming up, roller skating, and all of this stuff. And the things that the young people are missing out today is those activities that we used to do when I was coming up. Nobody's outside double dutching, nobody's roller skating, hopscotch, 1, 2, 3 tag, or you know. Um, playing hide and seek. Everybody is inside. Everybody is on these devices. And we wonder why we have so much stuff going on. The kids is one thing, but the adults, we should know better. We should know better. We have to take care of our bodies, because God has called us to do some things, and we cannot do those things if we're in the hospital. Every time you turn around, we in the doctor's office. The drinking, the excessively, and all these things, that we're doing, and then we want to go down to the prayer line. We want people to lay hands on us because we sick and we tore up, and we just can't. We got to break the spirit of of not being able to be of self-control. You know, we all, I raise my hands at that. We got to be of self-control in some of these things that we're doing. You know, we have to get rid of those things, you know, that we keep seeing with our eyes, indulging in gluttony and all these types of things, and you know, all those things that are outside of God. You know, if it's you know, fornication, pornography and all this kind of stuff that are not healthy. They're not healthy for our spirit man. Mentally, we do things that we ought not to be doing. We constantly in stress. We're constantly thinking about things, and we're not thinking about the things that we're looking at with our eyes, that we are hearing. God says to guard our gates with all diligence. You know, we got to keep our minds, you know, stayed on. I know we can't keep it stayed on mind. Our mind stayed on God 24/7, 365. But he requires us to keep our minds stayed on him, and he shall keep us in perfect peace. You know, we got to go. You know, if you don't know God for yourself, we got to get into knowing who God is. But those who know him, we got to be able to take care of these machines, these bodies that he has given to us. He has created us for a purpose. He has given us assignments, and we can't be on our assignment if we're in the hospital. If we're in the hospital, if we're stretched out somewhere, we can't get up, we can't move because we done overdid something in our life, and we just maybe didn't do something that we were supposed to do to keep our bodies running. So I just want to see. We got a couple of things to make sure that I was not forgetting anything because I knew my daughter was down here now. I didn't want to get distracted, and I think I covered everything that I want to say. You know, our bodies do not belong to us; they belong to God. Our bodies do not belong to ourselves, and we got to keep our minds. We got to keep our body. We got to keep our spirit, man. We got to keep it on balanced out. We got to have balance in our life, spiritually, physically, psychologically, emotionally. We got to keep our bodies the best day we can, the best way we can. And guess what? It's hard today. Too much going on. It's too much going on in our world. And this is where we have to take control of ourselves and ask God to help us, you know, with being of self control, help us to get on the right path, and to keep our bodies running and functioning, and be wise in what we're doing. Be wise about what we're putting into our bodies, you know, and overindulgence and all these type of things. Now, Ben and Jerry, me and Ben and Jerry been good friends for about the last 3, 4 months. I never tried Ben and Jerry before, but oh my gosh, I picked up some ice cream, and they make the best ice cream. I ain't gonna lie. So I treat myself. I treat myself. You know, I try to give myself a day, but something, you know, I cheat with that. You know, I just cheated before I got on this video because I came for the grocery store, and they had one called cinnamon churros or something like that. And I said, "Oh, I'm just going to see what it tastes like." And before I know it, you know, it was like maybe a quarter of it going, and I just stuck it in the freezer. And I said, "Of all things, I'm going to come on here and talk about this, but it's okay. As long as you know, as long as you know, if I happen to overindulge in something in one area, you know, I make it forward. I take away for something that I was supposed to have later on, you know, to even it out. But take care of your bodies. God is has called us to do some things, and starting with our what we put on the inside of our bodies. Be watchful over that. Again, watch the labels. Watch what you're doing. Watch what you're eating. Seek your doctor. You know, you can go to a dietitian. I did that many years ago because I wanted to see how many calories that I was just supposed to be taking in for my body. Everybody cannot take in the same amount of calories for us. For you know, if I take in a certain amount of calories, that doesn't mean the next person's supposed to do that. You know, our body is made up differently. Each and every one of us, God has given us individualized bodies. They're tall, they small, they wide, they thin, you know, and some people are just naturally big boned. Some people are just naturally this, but we have to get what's right for our body. And sometimes it is helpful to see a dietitian and your health insurance. 9 times out of 10, if you have a diagnosis, that, say for instance, again, with the high blood pressure, and if you're excessively overweight, you can use your health insurance to well, I'm just going to take you there. If you have something that you're trying to prevent, most insurances, health insurance, will cover um, uh, your costs for a dietitian, cover your costs to go to a gym, because if you have some conditions, um, that will cause you to need exercise and to see a dietitian, check with your insurance carrier and talk to them about that, and see if you can get in to see a dietitian, see if you can get in to see to get your gym membership paid for. I went through that because my health insurance, and they pay for it. They pay for my gym membership, and they pay for my dietitian. And so, I never would have thought about it had I not, you know, just got into making sure my body was running properly. I said, let me see if my health insurance and stuff covers this stuff. And yeah, see, your doctors a lot of times will tell you that. Sometimes you got to just do your homework and just do those things. So anyhow, I've been on here. I thought I was only going to be on here for a couple of minutes, and oh my gosh, okay, this is what I wanted to share. Again, this is touching on, we have to be mindful that our bodies, we didn't create our bodies, God created our bodies, and He wants our bodies to run and to function properly so that He can use you, He can use me for what He got to do in this earth, what we need to do, what a lot of us are missing, our callings and our purposes right now, because we are just too uh, over here and not over here with what we need to be doing with our bodies. So God bless you. I'm going to end here because I can keep talking and talking and talking. But God bless you. I just wanted to share this, and I just pray, take care of your body. Take care of your body. This is what I'm trying to do right now. Just trying to make sure I'm 58, and I'm blessed. That at my age, I still feel like I'm 20 years old. I don't feel like that I am, 58. I can't even believe that I'm right here. But I just bless God for, preserving me and keeping me, because He has some things that He has for me to do. And I just say, yes, Lord, to your will, let it be done according to thy will. So God bless you. Have a blessed day, and take care of your machines, okay? God bless you.